Hello everyone. Today I am going to teach you a new lesson. This is third lesson of poetry class 12th. Keeping Quiet, written by Pablo Neruda. Okay, let's start the poem. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. Student, through this poem, the poet is requesting us that each of us will count up to 12, then we all will keep quiet. Student, I think the poet might have used this phrase count to 12 because somewhere the 12 hours 12 hours are represented. There are 12 hours represented on a clock, or we can say there are 12 months in a year. So the poet has somewhere used this term count to 12. Okay students, let's move. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. Student, as the poet is requesting us to be silent for a single second after counting up to 12, then that time when we all will be quiet, that time that will be a time when on the entire earth any language will not be spoken. We will use any of the languages at all, and for 1 second all the people will stop moving their arms at all. So somewhere in this way we can say poet is trying to teach us that language interruptions will be automatically removed. It would be an exotic moment. Without rush, without engines, we would all be together in a sudden stillness. Student, in this passage, poet is saying that when we all will be quiet, that will be really an unusual moment. Exotic means unusual, so really that will be an unusual moment when there will be no hurry at all. Nobody will run after the work, run after any other. There will when there will not any sound of the machines. That will be the moment when we all the people come together and stand together. So we can understand the poet is somewhere creating the ideas of brotherhood among the people here. Next passage, student. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. In this poem, poet is saying that will be the moment when we all will keep quiet. That will be the moment when fishermen who used to work in the cold sea and who always used to catch the fishes, so when we all will be quiet, so that will be the moment when fishermen will stop catching the whales. They will not harm the whales, and whales will be safe in the water in this way. And the man who used to collect the salt from the sea, so surely when all will be silent, surely they will also have the time to observe their injured hands, to observe their injury, and to recover themselves. So in this way we can say nature and humans, both of them will have the time to recover themselves. Students, next passage. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean cloth and walk about with their brothers in the shed doing nothing. Here, here the poet is talking about those who always keep on creating the wars with the gas, wars with chemicals, wars with fires, or any kind of wars. They are always ready to create wars. So poet is talking about those people. And students, you know very well, wars are always proved destructive. wars always bring destructions, and when the victory is found, victory is got, so there would not be anyone to celebrate that victory. So after fighting the war or fighting any kind of war, so when the victory is got or received, that any of the man is available, is left to celebrate that victory. So, so student, poet is requesting through this passage to all the people, all those people who create war. Poet is saying that those all people will put off their stained cloth, and they all will wear the clean cloth, and they all will come together, stand together under a shade like the brothers. So in this way the poet is requesting us to stop any kind of war. In next passage, what I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want not ruck with death. Student, poet is saying that whatever the poet is trying to teach us through this poem, whatever the poet has taught us till here, so poet is saying that we don't need to be confused about the inactivity. The poet is not talking us about inactivity. We should not be confused, because whatever the poet is saying, he is trying to make this nature, make this environment beautiful, and if he is not talking about the death, because the poet is trying to make this life beautiful. And what is life, student? Life is what we lived, we live. Life is what which we live. So student, here the poet is saying we don't need to be confused, because he is not talking about the death. He is talking about the beautifulness of the life, and life is meant to be lived, we can say. If we were not so minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Student, through this passage, the poet is saying a very important thing to us, that is we all people have become self-centered nowadays. We all have become selfish. We all keep on thinking for running our lives. We never think about others. We never think about the problems of others or our society members. We always keep on thinking for running our lives. So somewhere we all have become self-centered. So poet is saying that when we all will be quiet, so that will be a thing, that will be a time when we all people will do nothing. It means we all stop working at all, and that will be the time when a huge silence will be created. The poet is expecting surely that huge silence will interrupt this sadness. What's the sadness? The sadness of never understanding ourselves, because we have lost in selfishness so much that we have forgotten to think about ourselves. So somewhere when the huge silence will be created, then we will have the time to think ourselves, and somewhere we will stop afraiding from the death, because as we are indulged, completely indulged in our working, so somewhere we all are also having the great fear of death also. So somewhere in this condition, when the silence will be created, that will interrupt this sadness, and sadness of never understanding ourselves, and somewhere that silence will create the will even create the awareness, and not to afraid from death. In next passage, perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Somewhere the poet is saying that earth also teaches us one thing, that which is seemed dead later that is proved alive. We can take the example of a seed student. The seed that is considered dead, many times a huge or big tree is born from that dead seed which is lying here and there. So the poet is trying to teach us that when anything is seemed dead, later that is proved alive. So we should not think, we should not even afraid of anything, we should not fear of anything. Somewhere we should try to think about ourselves and about the environment also. Now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So at last the poet is again requesting us that he will count up to 12 now, and then we all will keep quiet. We all will keep quiet, then he will go. Okay students, I hope you have understood the lesson thoroughly as I have taught you. And students, these are the questions of this lesson. There are 4 questions, you can see them clearly, and I expect after understanding this poem you will attempt them yourself. Okay student, thank you very much.